All right. Cool. So last session,
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened. I wasn't here. So you guys tell me what happened.
Someone didn't let me finish an identify spell.
What? That was the most important thing? That was it?
Holy shit, that was huge though. That
We
was
were-
the first time I told my son about this. He's been playing for a while, and he was like, "Oh, holy shit, that's
We
Yeah,
returned to
what was it?
Stormloft. We found that Aiden had sort of taken control of Adalbert's,
Mistake.
position. Zell did some really mean and nasty and well-deserved things to him. And
No, I
and,
didn't
and,
go
and then
over.
Zell also butchered an innocent person on the street.
Oh my gosh, I'm a murder hobo.
Yeah, you're right.
we-
He kind of, but he did it because he thought the person was somebody else getting away.
Right. We were a little bit concerned about him, and we found there are two places we can go. We can go after Groose, who seems to have gone to Ragnall's Grove, which is the location of the swords, maybe. And then there's what was the other place?
We can go under the city to the other altar or the other thing.
So there's a Vazriel ruins underneath. Is that right?
Yeah, Hoppler
Yeah,
identified.
Hoppler, right. So I think we opted to go for the sword first.
Correct, because
Right.
that seemed more timely.
We'll say one thing about all of our magic items being disjunctioned and everything. Luckily, we had a shitload of money that Malik didn't even realize we had, and we were able to buy some shit. So,
Oh, right. We got totally nerfed.
Plus, also,
Yeah.
who would have guessed that it would have destroyed our magic items? Honestly, like.
Zelbor.
Honestly, I remembered that I made a note of that in my notes because I read through. If you read through the curse handout, it literally says that it would occasionally cause her friends' magic items to lose their power, and I didn't care enough to remember. Well, I think it was less me and more the THC that made me forget. Before I grabbed the orb, and then immediately after it happened, I was like, "Ah, fuck!" It says it right in the.
Oh well, it was
Right in the handout. We were warned.
And now we're all officially cursed, right?
Well, yes,
Correct.
you all officially have one of the orbs. And a real quick note: where you were told Groose went was from Stormloft or from dissenting from Duke Adalbert to Ragnall's Grove, which is in the Maiden's Wood.
Wasn't that the place with the funny lights that lit up one after another?
Correct.
Yeah.
There was a very strange forest that you found your way through and came to a series of 9, or was it 7? 9 statues. And the 9 statues were of maidens, the saints, the Dais saints. No, it's 7, sorry. Apologies. It's 9 in the other world.
So, Matt, did you say you can get us there quickly?
I can scry to see if I can figure out where Groose is, and then I might be able to just teleport us there.
All right, so question number 1. What item are you going to use to scry with? Are you going to use the Leyline Mirror again? Or are you going to go into town and try and find a crystal ball?
Honestly, hold on a second. How much money do we have left over?
Not much at all.
I have 0.
I have 90, maybe.
Give me 1 second to take.
I have to go to a job so I can eat.
I have a regular mirror. If you just want to use a regular mirror,
It has to be worth 250 gold pieces.
Yeah, it's expensive. That's the thing.
So the leyline mirror potentially can throw us to a wrong place?
Well,
What it
no,
did-
The Leyline Mirror seems to show me more than one timeline.
Right.
So
I can get you a
can
mirror.
use it. It's just
I can get
unless
you
I
one.
get a clear reading, I might not necessarily get an accurate picture of where Groose is.
I have over 300 gold. I can get you one.
Well, hold on a second. Let me just double check the price of the thing.
Is there
Oh,
any
it's
way-
1,000 gold.
1,000.
Sorry,
yeah.
1,000 gold.
Ah, well
No,
then
that's-
I
yeah.
cannot.
Wow.
Or a font filled with holy water. Malik.
I could do that.
What if we go to Gruce's sleeping
No,
quarters?
no.
If
So
we could.
understand what it says. It's not saying or a font filled with holy water.
I know.
A
The font
focus
that's
worth 1,000 gold pieces. So that's a lot of holy water.
That could be a font. Yeah, I know.
Right.
She said he left on foot. Did he leave on foot that way? Do we know that? Do we know how he was traveling? Because if we just grab horses and chase him down, we'll catch him before he gets there.
Yeah, Aiden will give us horses.
He
probably.
left a couple of days ago, quite a few days ago, and he left on horse.
You said 3.
3. Yeah, I said a couple just now. It's 2. So you could have actually won out on a day there. You just ruined it. 3 days.
Well, you said quite a few.
Quite a few. Few is 3.
All right.
Oops.
Honesty.
Should have just shut up.
It's fine. I'm okay with it. 3 days ahead of you, which means he's probably on site or close to being on site. If you were to teleport him, you'd cut
So
him
then
off.
let's just teleport straight to the site and meet him there.
Well,
Right?
you
We know where
he's
right?
going, correct? But you don't know what his current state of being is.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets beat up on the road and we're sitting there for like 5 days.
Okay, but if
And-
he's not there and we travel backwards, we'll meet him at some point, right? We're following the same line.
Assuming he's going to come back.
Right. The only
I
way
can
would be
use
if we
the
miss
ley
him
line mirrors.
completely, like he's gone to the Maiden's Wood and is already on his way home. And at that point, we should be able to find the sword there,
So real quick, again,
unless we want to send out a message. But like the scrying thing, we can always try the scrying thing just to see what fucking happens.
easiest
you know?
method is the democratic method. But before we get to the democratic method, we obviously have the rebel entity here. Zelbor, do you want to throw it to a democratic process, or do you want to just cast the spell yourself?
I'm just going to cast a spell.
All right, cool. So no need to worry about it saving or anything, because yeah, you see again 17 images from the mirror. The first 7 that you see Groose entering into the grove in the first one. In the next 6, he's also already present. But the thing that you notice in each of these is that Groose is different in some way, shape, or form in each. In the first one that you see, he's walking into the grove, and the sword he holds in his hand appears very similar to the sword that you've seen in Hawk's hands. Slightly different, and the blade appears to be kind of an orangish color in it's kind of more of like a citrine kind of like bright orange color, but very similar in its pattern welded style. The next 6 you see one with the same sword that Hawk has. You see another one with a sword that is like Hawk's sword but gray. You see one that is like Hawk's sword but red. You see one that is like Hawk's sword, but basically the colors of the rainbow. Yeah, except one is gray instead of one is indigo. There's no division between indigo and violet in this spectrum. But yeah, one of each of those swords. Go ahead.
I'm getting the picture that he seems to be at the grove in pretty much every single one of them.
It's exactly identical other than the color of the blade. And then the other thing that I was going to say too is the features on him are different. The one with the red sword is a female. The one with Hawk's sword is an elf with very large ears and bright blonde hair. The one with the gray sword appears to have plate armor on and appears more rugged and durable than the Groose you know. Each one seems to have these different characteristics that seem to kind of, in your mind, match the idea of the color. Like you think of the color and the first thing you think of, as like a warrior, kind of pops and springs to your head, is what you're seeing is kind of with these weapons. And then the next, so that was the first 7. The next 9 are completely pitch black. Like he's not present, like you can't find him. Basically the same signaling you'd get, but you see it quickly wash over, and finally it moves to the last one. And you're absolutely certain this is the Groose you know. You're absolutely certain that he's holding the orange blade, and he seems to be at the grove, kind of sitting there, just patiently.
He seems to be at the grove, sitting there, patiently.
Then I see no reason not to go.
All right, everyone, hold hands and let's sing Kumbaya.
You can take us all with you.
Yes,
Oh, sweet.
it's a 7th level spell I'm blowing on this thing.
Nice. Well, you can take a rest then.
Is there any possibility we could go back in time?
No.
Damn it.
Listen, the book that I got from Cardiff, this is like the most I could figure out. Is how to do this.
Yeah, you got the portal gun idea from Rick and Morty, not the cross-dimensional portal gun. All right, so you're casting teleportation, and
Yes.
it's a location you're familiar with because you've seen it. You have you're familiar with it because you've been to it.
Yeah, so there's like a 75% chance that we'll
Let's see.
hit it, I think, because I don't have an associated object with it, and there's no
You
permanent
do.
circle. Is the sword an associated object?
It would be, and it is a permanent
Okay.
circle as well. You would notice this as you're kind of clipping into it. Something you would notice as you learn the spell teleportation and understand its requirements.
Neat.
So yeah, it's an exact location you can teleport to. I believe it's one. There's no chance of failure, right?
No, so long as I have an object associated with no
Yep.
chance of failure.
Yeah, poof. So you guys watch as purple energy kind of manifests from his casting. He, forces the spell. The energy engulfs you all as you're holding hands, and you all disappear. You feel the cold, dusty air of the chamber you're standing in, which I assume was in the house, your guys' house in Stormloft, and you appear out in a glade. You're surrounded by 7 statues of maidens with swords. And sitting on the grass not too far from where you are is Groose, who quickly rises to his feet, not startled, like he knew you were coming. And as he does so, he raises the sword up to his face in a salute, sets it to the side, and kind of looks at you, and bows gently as he's doing so, and then he sheaths the sword.
Oh my gosh, that felt so weird.
Well met, Groose.
Well met, Captain of the Guard.
What are you doing here?
Returning the sword here. What are you doing? The same, I'd hope?
You're returning the sword. I didn't know you had one.
I only just acquired it. There was a tome of an individual named Ale Rindle. I learned about it in Donovan's notes. He had quite the library.
So that's the first statue, John?
hmm
Okay.
Did you avail yourself of his library to find the others?
Anyone?
No.
No, so Hawk would explain how he acquired his sword, Sentina, through the curse, right, of Tovash Nirnon?
And as you're telling your story, Zelbor, make a perception check. Wisdom perception, please.
Wisdom
Boy.
perception, so just wisdom.
Maybe it's not him.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm going to use my 1 luck point of the day on this one.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you don't really notice anything untoward. You're just kind of listening into the conversation as it's being had. And Hawk finishes telling the story about how you guys went in, and he says, Groose says in reply, Duke Adalbert had mentioned something about the shame of Albacoris. From your tales, it sounds like that's something that you unleashed upon the world. It would seem that these swords are necessary to return it to a state of dormancy.
That's right.
When Duke Adalbert retreated from the cause after receiving reports in the capital city that you were no longer in Sorrowgate, and that the shame was in control of Lament Snows, I defected from him and used the knowledge that I had gained to find this sword. I know of the location of one other sword, but beyond that, I unfortunately have No idea where else to search. The other sword is in a old dwarvish city that's inside of the Colbeard Mountains, a city called Digram.
Shit.
And you guys remember Digram. You guys actually have been there before. That's where the first hiatus started.
Is that when we pass through?
Yeah, and you guys were going to do a super cool, awesome dungeon, but it never happened.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, Malik ended up with a super awesome trident and a bunch of other shit.
And Zelbor ended up with an Aboleth baby. Right.
It like
I
basically
mean,
defined.
we
Oh,
killed the
yeah,
Atlas
man.
eventually.
Yeah.
yeah, baby.
What sword was it, Bruce?
From my notes, it was a blade called Diaspectra.
I must say, I'm surprised to see you here. When last we met, you're a rather quiet type, not one who would go off on these kind of quests on his own.
When you are with people who are unable to act or unwilling to act for so long, it becomes necessary to stir off on your own.
So Hawk thinks that there's something funny about the way he's acting because it's definitely different than the way he's sort of held himself before.
You mean
You,
he's talking?
specifically, Hawk, need to make a Wisdom Insight check.
Yeah, you mean the fact that he's talking?
The fact that he's talking and he's talking in these kinds of ways, I have a whole +0 on this.
Yep, you got advantage. Go with it. So you would recognize that he has the sword, and like when you took up the sword, you changed, becoming half elven. You would recognize that he appears to be more precise in his. When he did talk, he talked just very curtly and simply. Right now, he's talking more like a tactician or a commander. It seems like he is in charge of the situation and absolutely aware of what's going on. And his formality to begin with was not something you would note from a boy with a sword. It'd be something you'd expect more from a general stepping before a king or another dignitary.
Mhm. So, in other words, it doesn't seem like it's out of character in terms of the circumstances.
You think that if he was augmented in some way, just like you were augmented by the sword, from what you recall, did you remember what Elrindel was called?
Hold on.
Make a history intelligence check.
I have the names of all the swords, but I don't know
It's okay,
if
they
I have
have-
that bit.
They had sub names like yours is Sentina the Noble. Yeah, so you would recognize these. Write these down: Elrindel the Tactician, Evelyn the Pious, Falma the Blessed, Melura the Chainbreaker, Sentina the Noble, Umbrosa the Grey One, and Vectra the Mother.
Okay.
So it kind of seems to be matching up with what the blade is.
So you're giving up the blade.
Well, we must give up the blades if we wish to seal away the power, the thing. Gideon, I believe it is called. That is what
Well-
Donovan called it.
We must do so eventually, but we need the power of the blades now to help us as we try to complete the quest.
We obviously do not have all of the blades to give up, so I don't see a point in surrendering it now. My only purpose in coming to this place was to make sure I knew it, and I understood it, and if anything held it, that I would deal with it.
Okay. We had hoped that we would find another blade here.
Well, you found mine. And we have yours, and I know the location of another, but I do not know where the others are located, nor do I know where to even begin looking.
So Hawk would look to the others in the group to sort of get a sense of whether or not they find Groose trustworthy enough to reveal the location of the place that we're going next. No, the Vazriel Temple.
Oh, like if we should tell him that we're going
Like,
there.
well, he seems like a pretty powerful ally, like he was in the very, very beginning. If he's, still going to help us.
I still think we should keep our information close to the vest because, we don't know what could happen to it. If we give it to him, he may be good, but he may get turned or who knows. But it is good to keep him as an ally for sure.
Are you guys powwowing? Like moving away from him and powwowing?
Very briefly, yeah. But I know
Yeah.
he's pretty smart. If he's
like
the
10 feet away from him.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, like TV far away. We
Right.
turn our backs on him. He can still.
Wasn't there one time when like we pull each other aside really far away from me? I pull him over here and we pull him over here.
I take him aside, and then I take him aside.
Right,
And
exactly.
we're
No,
aside
anyway,
from the original sighting.
so Hawk would probably go back to Groose and say, "We do have a possible lead. It is near Stormloft, and if you would accompany us, it would add to our power."
Do you mean a lead for the swords, or do you mean a lead for your problem?
I tend to think the two are intertwined.
Well,
We like to be arrogant and think we're the center of the universe when, in all
We actually
fairness-
are.
No, in all fairness.
Oh,
it's just
Giselle
me.
Bohr is right.
I tell you that they are not. And if what you are suggesting is the place that Poplar found underneath the keep, then I don't think I'll be much of help in that regard. What I can do is I can go ahead and make my way to the old dwarvish city by myself and see if I cannot recover that sword. From what I understand in reports that were granted to Donovan, there appears to be a cell of the conglomerate that's present in that mountain. They have taken over an old Azumatan fort. He kind of looks to the others, not Hawk, knowing that Hawk might know of the Order of the Eastern Sky, and says, "The Azumatan are the Order of the Eastern Sky, a group of knights who serve at the pleasure of one Duke von Dreyens of the East, the guardian and sentinel against the Saryujan forces and bandits and what they are called wave men."
Should we be trusting all of these dookie people?
Do you say that aloud to Groose?
I'm saying that more like side
Okay.
to.
Well, a lot of times we have no choice.
Hawk would pay attention to his own sword. Does it seem to give any sense of this encounter?
As you kind of like focus on the blade, like you're trying to get attention from it, you kind of feel this calming sense kind of rush through your body. And you can, as you kind of look at Groose, you can see that the same is kind of watching over him.
Okay, well that's a good sign.
You guys are
Hawk.
sword brothers now.
Yeah, I think so. Hawk would say something like, well, it sounds then you have your mission set up before you, and we have ours. Hopefully we'll meet up again soon.
He nods, bows slightly, reaches towards his hilt and draws his sword, brings it back up to his face in a salute.
Hawk returns. Same salute.
May the saints watch over you. And he sheaths his sword.
And also with you.
All right.
I was thinking more of a Highlander.
He-
The only one, and Choppy Toes head.
I was thinking of He-Man.
Awesome.
I have the power.
That's cool too.
So it sounds like we know what our next thing is after whatever this place we're going to now.
It does sound like the next goal would indeed be the temple beneath the Stormloft Castle.
So do you have another 7th level slot, Zell?
So, who's up for some walking?
You son of a bitch.
Do you really only have one slot?
I have an
One-way trip.
8th level slot.
You could burn it. You're not going to be rushing right.
We
into
could take a
it.
rest, right?
Okay, fine. If we take a rest, I can burn my 8th level spell.
Okay.
On Feeble Mind! No, I'm kidding.
You burn your 8th level spell slot, teleport back to the neighborhood, and again,
Fine,
very
Mr. Rogers.
very familiar with your place of rest, and you guys take your sleep. In the middle of the night, you can hear the weather's turned quite dour. You would know that Stormloft, being kind of a northern city, has certain elements and things that it has to protect against such weather. But you guys live in the Northrond district, which is kind of the poorer end of the city, and so it does not have the same magical and structural securities against the weather. But the wind is beating heavily against the shutters. You can feel just a loud groaning from the house as wind kind of sweeps through the Northrond district. Malik, as you kind of keep stirring, because this is absolutely, even though you've been on the surface for a couple of years now, this is absolutely not something that seems real or regular. And I'd like you to go ahead and just make me an intelligent or a wisdom nature check.
All right. Wisdom nature? All right.
Yep.
That's an intelligence thing.
No, wisdom.
Oh,
and
no,
then
no,
nature.
wisdom nature. All right, I get it. I'm a little slow on the uptake.
It's cool. You're proficient with nature or no?
Oh, shit. Yeah. No, I'm not.
If not,
And I rolled the wrong thing. I rolled the saving throw instead.
it's okay. So that would just be minus, what, 5? Okay, so
Minus
that's a
5,
15.
yeah.
Still good enough. You would notice that this storm does not appear to be natural. It feels absolutely just wrong and different. Anything you want to do?
Yes, I would. I guess, is it like in the middle of the night? You're saying?
Yeah. So it'd be close to the. If you'd had to venture a guess, it's like the middle of the night, the dead
All
set
right.
middle.
It's the middle of the
But
night.
I would trust my instincts here, and I would get up, and of course, guess who I'm waking up?
Afuni.
Zelbor.
So you go
I'll
into
wake him up, because you're the smartest person I know.
Ain't nobody waking me up.
into
Yeah.
Zelbor's room, and you would notice that he is in bed with Afuna rather, and
Naked.
they probably are stark red ass naked,
Red ass.
because they're both
Nice.
red-skinned tieflings.
Plus, he likes spanking, so yeah.
And how do you mean to rouse them?
No.
I would walk up to him and put my hand on his shoulder, which is probably really going to piss him off, but and then give him a little
Okay.
shake.
You see Afuna's eyes kind of open just narrowly, like a cat when it's sleeping, and she's kind of looking at you. And Zelbor, probably a little less subtle.
Smacks him.
So, yeah.
Sorry. Smacks him with the rod of nothing ship.
I would say, I'm sorry. I woke
Why
up-
is he holding the rod of rulership in his bed while naked with his
You
girlfriend?
do not want to know what they've been doing.
Fair
Oh,
enough.
Man, I don't even want to imagine. I would say this is really important. Can I speak with you in the other room?
You trust Afuna pretty well. I mean, you would know that.
Oh,
Not you, but
I
Zelbor, you would feel like anything that
Right.
he has to say, it's not going to be.
Is this?
listen,
Let me just what is
there is
it?
a weird storm outside. It's not normal. I'm telling you. So you're the smartest person I know, and so I figured you would be the right person to tell. Sorry, I interrupted your party. Your night, and I feel real bad about that. But this is important, so I figured you better
Malik-
get up and figure this out.
Malik, next time, knock when I'm not wearing pants.
Then there's no use. I wouldn't wake you up anyways.
I know.
She
It would just wake her up, and then I feel bad about this already.
she looks up at you and she says, "The storm does seem a bit unnatural."
All right, Malik, wait outside. Let me put some pants on.
She kind of rolls away from you and she says, "You should probably check it out. He's not exactly familiar with the sky above his head."
Don't put pants on for my account.
I'm putting them on so you don't get jealous. Now, please.
Malik, as you kind of are like watching, Zelbor, who's kind of covering himself up with sheets
It's
and
the Rada rulership.
being a little bit more like tactful in his movements. You've seen every inch of Ifuna, who is less concerned about the visuals. She's basically rolled over onto her back. Her breasts are splayed off to the sides. Her hair is just a knotted mess from whatever exchange her and Zelbor had been having prior to the storm or
You're
sleep.
making Matt's day right now.
Well,
So
he's talking about himself. That's all.
she just seems to be a little less concerned with discretion or
I think she likes to lord it over me.
I
Look
stole
what he
Zelbor.
likes, and it's nothing. Yeah, she's like, I got it. This is what he wants. Sorry, buddy.
That's fair.
Stand out there in the cold, flop around like a fish. She's always saying.
But
So much subtext in those looks.
but
I feel like
Okay.
he's reading so much into this.
Zelbor, you acquire your attire, and are you going outside, or are you just going to go look out the window? What's your plan on this?
I'm just gonna go outside
Okay.
because he won't let up unless I go outside.
As you open up the front door, it's kind of hard to push open, but once it gets to a certain point, it whips away from you and slams against the door. The wind is kind of buffeting you back a bit, and you're kind of annoyed at this. It's basically a very quick change from the heat of the hearth to the cold of the wind and rain. But you see a bolt of lightning strike off in the distance, which lights the alleyway ahead of you. And if you recall correctly, it kind of goes to a point and then turns into the major street, kind of against the wall of another building. But that bolt of lightning strike shows you a silhouette of a man standing at the end of the street, kind of looking off in your direction, and his eyes are glowing bright blue.
It's probably not good.
He's not wearing a red robe, is he?
He's wearing a blue robe with a green scarf.
Am I like in plain sight right now?
Mm-hmm. So's he.
Is he old?
It's not Cardiff, is it?
As you kind of focus more on it, and bolts of lightning continue to flash across him, you would see that he is very young, probably somewhere in his 20s or in his prime.
Huh. Is that young Cardiff?
The wind's still like loud and flushing through the door. You hear a voice kind of coming from the other chamber, and you're a bit confused for a second, but you hear Cardiff's voice yell, "Close the door! It's cold out there! I'm trying to sleep!" And you're like, "Wait, what?"
I'm getting used to the weirdness of Cardiff now. Is there any way that I could where'd that go? Stealthily move towards this person on the
Sure.
other side?
Before you do, though, make an intelligence check real quick.
Didn't mean my
History
character sheet decided to close.
and proficiency added if you have history trained. Yeah.
I don't think I have history, but I mean, bard, so half.
Sure.
And you said which one?
Intelligence.
Intelligence? +3, so.
Okay. You kind of look back towards where Cardiff was, and you remember that's where you left him. But when you teleported, you didn't look to check and see if he was there. You just kind of entered into the house, talked about some things with others, and then left. You don't remember if he was here or not. But there he is, old man Cardiff, in his bed.
Stay there. I'll be right back.
Close the door! Oh.
Do you want me to come with you, Zell, or are you gonna sneak out there on your own?
I'm going to have Malik just stay in the but I will sneak down on my own.
All right, don't get struck by lightning.
All right. Do you close the door behind you?
Sure.
The second the door closes, the wind stops and the rain stops. What I mean by the rain stops, I mean that every single droplet stops moving in its space. Like, as the rain is falling, the rain is no longer falling, it's just hovering in the air. when you kind of turn and move and look back, you can see the water kind of splishing away from you as you kind of collide with it, and you look out across the alleyway, and he seems to be walking towards you. As he's doing so, the water's kind of bursting away from him as he touches it. And you
I'm
can
just going to-
So
see
freaky.
also that his eyes are glowing blue, but they seem to be spinning inwards with light.
Yeah, I'm just going to stand my ground for right now, and in case I need it, I'm going to prepare something.
Are you going to awake the rest of us?
I'm going to prepare
No.
Luke's resilient sphere if I need it.
He can't. He's outside.
Are you going to wake the rest of us, Kevin?
As you kind
Actually,
of
I think I would.
like hold, the rest of you are actually frozen in time. Sorry.
I think this is a character moment for me.
Okay.
As this individual kind of walks towards you, he says in a familiar voice but a different voice, a voice similar to the Cardiff you met at Digram, similar to the young Cardiff you met in Sorrowgate. He says, he kind of looks at you with those eyes that are kind of spiraling inwards, and he says, "You have to stop him. You have to kill him."
Which him are we talking about here?
Afuna, obviously.
You're not there.
I know.
You know who I mean. You know exactly who I mean.
Do I know who he means?
Do you know who I am?
I'm going to guess Cardiff.
You would be correct.
4.5.
No. There's only one Cardiff. There has only ever been one Cardiff.
I'm just mean in terms of, like, amount of appearances.
But you have to stop him. What he plans to do with it is not something he must be allowed to do. If he does do it, what you aim to do, it's pointless. Your endeavors have been all for naught. And I tell you that he will sabotage everything that you plan to do. Do you want me to show you how hard he's tried to make this happen?
Just because of the fact that Andy said yes, I'm going to say no. Yeah.
Ah!
Okay. He kind of seems to just move his hand in front of him, and as he does so, you hear the ticking of clocks, and you see a staff manifest in his hand. You've seen
Do I
this.
hear-
You see the staff manifest, and you've seen this staff before. In fact, you've seen parts of it as well. This appears to be the staff that young Cardiff and Sorrowgate had. This appears to be the parts of the staff that you saw on the dead Cardiffs you found all throughout the northern portion of Stormloft. The staff appears to be a single shod of darkwood. At its cap, it appears to have an elaborate kind of orrery of clocks and time measuring devices, and in its center, it appears to have a hourglass that looks like it can be manipulated to be turned. There's also rings within it, so as it moves, it kind of jingles. And at the base of it, the butt of it appears to be solid adamantine. He also kind of looks at you as he manifests the staff. He says, "Any spell you attempt to cast, I will negate." You understand that is with. He says, "You do understand that is within my power, correct?"
As I said, wasn't really planning on doing anything.
I just wanted to make sure you did not waste your time. I hope you're not too tired from your events or your activities this evening to see what I wish to show you. And as he says that, he sweeps the staff aside. Everything kind of goes black.
Wait, were you watching?
and when I say goes black, I don't mean your vision goes black. I mean everything besides you and Cardiff becomes nothing but blackness. You see what appears to be stars in the distance, and he sweeps the staff back, and you're standing in a familiar channelway in an old dwarvish city. You remember this is about the spot where he appeared. And you see Zelbor, you, dead, Looks like a portion of your body has been ripped asunder. Looks like you're just laying there dead, and some strange adventurers are standing there lording over your body. And he says, "Do you see?
That's the other one.
He prevented this
Yeah.
so that you could live, so that you could get him to where he wanted you to go." He sweeps the staff again, and you see Hawk laying dead on the battlefield. Arrows, rocks, everything. It looks like a just destroyed area. You recognize off in the distance the hill of Hilton and the smoke still smoldering up from it. But there lays Hawk. The only difference between Hawk that you see here and the Hawk that you know is, first off, he's not half-elf. Second, the banner that he wears, the one that Hawk wears, is that of House Haverhill, blue, with two white chevrons with a white diamond underneath. This is a red field with two white chevrons and a diamond in the field. And you know you've seen that symbol before, but you're not sure where. But there he lays dead. And he kind of says nothing as he sweeps the staff once again. You see Malik. It looks like he has been absolutely destroyed. Just completely destroyed. The only reason you could recognize him is because his face still remains in this just mess of him. But from what you can tell, it looks like he was exploded from the inside by frost. Like someone caused him to become frozen and like freezer burned to the point that he kind of disintegrated. His face lies there, and as you kind of are focusing on him, you kind of start looking around. You notice that there's just winter everywhere, and you see this black tower in the north, up on the mountain that you can see. And you recognize this location as where you found Tegan when she was dying.
Yeah.
So it looks like for some reason Malik died here on this field.
How does that make Zell feel?
You're not sure why or how this would have happened. You recognize where you died, how that might have happened. You recognize how Hawk could have gotten into a battle and died when Hilton was attacked. And you're kind of confused. And Cardiff sweeps the staff once more, and he kind of you appear inside this tavern. And you see Boo sitting there kind of just carousing and talking with his brother. And it seems that they're having a good conversation and are in high spirits and are not at all untoward towards one another. And you're kind of confused because you've never seen this individual, and I said brother, I don't mean brother. I say his brother because I'm referencing notes. You see him carousing with an individual you've never met. Best way to phrase it. And it looks like he's having a good time.
Assume is his.
No, you wouldn't assume it's his brother. They have no features in common.
I was going to
really.
assume that it was his uncle.
Sure, fair enough. But they don't look like they're related, I guess. Again, I read too much into it. It was more for somebody else, not so much for you. But you see another individual and him are carousing. They seem to be having a good time. They seem to be lavishly dressed and well kept. And it looks like they are in the city of Stormloft. You would assume that they are at the Stormloft Tavern and Inn, because you can see Kenneth DeCinti over at the bar, just, kind of allowing for the merriment. And Cardiff sweeps the staff again and kind of looks to you. You're in the black space again. And as you kind of stand there, he says, "And I have done everything in my power to stop him. But unfortunately, he is kept by better company than me." You hear a voice kind of ring out across the nothingness. "That is enough. You've shown him too much." And as you listen to the voice, you can hear that it's fourfold. And you're like, huh? And as you kind of look at the shadows, they start to kind of move towards you. And you see that their faces start to appear. You see a woman with red hair. You see a woman with blonde hair. You see a woman with black hair. And you see a woman with lightish green hair kind of walking towards you in kind of a flank. Cardiff says, "That will have to be it. I'll return you to your ways. And I hope that what I've been able to show you helps you." And he slams the staff down, looks to the others, and in a strange language says something very it just sounds pissed. And as he does so, everything kind of just shatters away from you, and you're just standing there out in the cold with the door closed behind you, and it's raining on you.
I'm still trying to figure out who he is. I've got somewhat of an idea.
Apparently, it's somebody in. You'd see Boo with this person, and they seem to be the only person that you saw that was alive was Boo, but he seemed to be with this.
I was talking about. He said you need to stop him. I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out who he
That's
is.
the other Cardiff, right?
I thought he was talking about you.
I thought it was the other Cardiff.
I did too.
I thought it was the other Cardiff.
Okay, so you open the door and go back inside.
And stab Cardiff. No.
When you open the door
Go back inside.
and go back inside, you look to the bed, and Cardiff isn't present. Doesn't look like he's been there for a long time.
Right. Well, storm's over. I don't know. Time to go back to bed.
Yeah, it's just light raining now.
Okay, you fixed it.
Yes,
I won't
fixed it
bother
by
waking up
standing
Hawk.
outside for a second.
I don't know. It was you. You must have cast some awesome spell. I know how you are. You're
I
modest.
cast Get Wet.
Get wet.
I
Yeah.
cast
and-
I'm Storm from the X-Men.
Yeah. Start floating for a little bit, probably levitating.
I'm
Doing all
going.
that
It
cool
was
shit.
cool as hell.
You got
Would-
back awful quick, though. I'll say.
Would he tell us about what he saw?
Nope.
You,
Because he still thinks he has to kill you. I have to kill Hawk.
No. It's because it's late at night, and I'm going to tell you guys in the morning when you're actually all conscious. Peep myself.
All right. I'll go back to bed.
okay.
Well, we're waking you all up right now.
I would listen to Zell. If Zell said, I thought it was bad. Zell checked it out. Says he can talk to us in the morning. He could talk to us in the morning then. I would trust you.
Well, you're the only one awake, and I told you it's fine. Everything's good. I'm going back to bed.
I would believe you on that.
So yes, I'm going back to bed till morning, and then I'll talk with everyone. Because I need my beauty sleep. I don't get this good looking without that.
You know
All
what? It makes sense.
You guys awaken, and the storm has definitely subsided. From what you can see outside, it's just kind of after rain morning. It's kind of muggy, but it's not like, dour. There's no fog or anything. It's just typical after rain kind of, bright, sunshiny morning. With that said, what do you guys do for the day?
Well, I would explain what happened last night now that everyone's actually conscious, and say he kept saying we need to stop him, and I'm guessing that's probably Cardiff, but
Okay. So setting the scene, as you're kind of sitting there and telling everybody, if Mifuna has made ready a meal, she sets forth a couple of slabs of, or slices of bacon for each of you, and also some hard-cooked eggs. She also has made kind of a potato mash.
No, wait. When she starts this, I would get up. I'd say,
Zelbor cooked some too.
no, I made drenched toast. Everybody loves that shit.
Gain inspiration.
Wet bread.
No joke. Gain inspiration.
Yeah, but it's good, man.
That was really well done.
I wouldn't want her just
I'm-
providing all that good food. I would have to jump in there.
I'm being genuine.
That's too funny.
I know.
Gain inspiration. I'm not. That's not a joke. That's a real thing that I
That's
want you to
probably
do.
the first in-game joke I've ever thought of. That's pretty good.
Oh my
Nice
god,
job, Kevin.
that is good. So the drench, the merfolk, the trackless. He makes some toast. Strange, soggy bread.
How is this toast?
It's good. This is a classic
how is it
breakfast
toast?
meal.
So it's
Happy and wet.
it's like burnt on the outsides and it's
See-
like soggy on the inside. So like really
Nice.
bad.
In Malik's mind, the stuff Afuna makes doesn't stand a chance, but everybody else is like, "What is this shit?"
So Drench has got like this stack of toast and he's eating it and he's like looking at Afuna's food like,
this is crap. I don't understand you humans.
To
Or,
be fair, everything is slightly burnt when it comes to these things. Oh,
True.
Oh gosh, so you got two extremes there. Hawk's just like, what the hell is this? Burnt food and wet food.
Hawk's like, I've ate military food. I'm good.
Mm.
he's got some
Boo's
LRA.
Boo's like, I've actually ate on the road, so I should be good too.
Right.
Anything's
Right.
good.
I'm
Oh,
fine.
man.
Thank you, though. I will skip this meal.
Ugh.
So what Zell described to everyone about the different scenes that he saw, I'm just curious whether or not the scene of Dead Zell and the adventurers might have any out of character people that we would know from other adventures, or is it set in this world?
So he
Like,
would
is there a cat person there seeing this body?
So yeah, he would describe that there was a tiefling bard, nowhere near as magnificent as Zelvor. There was a tabaxi,
Okay,
who
so
looked
okay.
like a roguish type. There was a man in full plate armor with strange vestigial wings. There was, I'm trying to think who else was in there that
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time he was seeing
You
it.
answered the question. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's very troubling. If you were seeing dead versions of ourselves, and after what you say, it makes, to me, it seems even more obvious that Cardiff is involved if there's different timelines going. And I'm not even that smart. I'm just saying it just makes sense.
I was going to say, unless of course the worm has some ways of doing some of this too. That's just kind of.
Oh, you're right. He could.
Hawk would also want to focus on the color of the hair of the four figures that Zell described. Would they match the colors of the orbs?
So no, they would match the colors of the entities. The first one that you saw was the red-haired one, who brought back to life Clackern,
We've
and then
met some of these girls.
Clackern died
Yeah.
horribly again.
Zelvor
But then
tried to get their numbers.
he also summoned.
Yeah.
This one also summoned, to your knowledge, Cardiff, and brought him back for you. The blonde one was the one at Hawk's request, despite her asking him otherwise, spared Cardiff and killed some rogue back in the olden times.
What's his name?
But the blonde specifically, the blonde entity, did ask you, Hawk, for your favor, and specifically asked if judgment could be placed upon the one that she had at her feet.
So that's really interesting, and if we can connect those dots in character, then it would kind of make sense a little bit more.
The black one was kind of moved to protect Malik, if you recall, during the Gideon arrival when he first came about, but it was destroyed in pretty much just a glance from Gideon. And the blue-haired one, I don't think you've seen the light blue-haired one. It's kind of a Flemish blue, like blue-green color.
Okay, thanks.
Makes more sense though. Well, I mean, you're right. With the red one, we've seen her the most, it seems.
Yes, very much so. She was hanging out in Hilton quite a bit.
Hanging out in Hilton,
Yeah.
singing all the songs. Anyway,
It was like Three's Company. Like Mr. Roper. Right?
I suppose.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this? Since we're talking about all this, what do you guys think? Is this something that we should drop everything we're doing now and find Cardiff? I tell you what, guys, I'm going to have a hard time killing that guy, or even watching other people kill him. It just seems very strange. Like, maybe this Cardiff was an evil Cardiff and came back to try to kill his rival good Cardiff.
Really quickly, John, did he say kill him or stop him?
Pretty sure he said kill him.
He said kill
Okay.
him. I mean, that's what you told us. Yeah, I'm saying, like, you told us what they said, and that's what it was. But, I mean, what do you think, Hawk?
I think that somebody's throwing out all different quest hooks to make things complicated.
Some
That's what I think.
asshole behind
very-
the screen.
That's very meta of you, Hawk.
So we've got three things happening. We've got the Vazrul ruins under Stormloft. We've got meeting up with Groose and Digram, and now we've got this other complication with
Well,
Cardiff.
Keep in mind, meeting up with Groose and Digram wasn't a thing. Groose said he can go get the sword by himself.
He did.
but we don't trust him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So I'm still inclined to do the Vazriel Ruin thing first, unless anyone else feels really strongly about it.
I mean, I think
Well-
honestly, if Cardiff is going to come along, he will find us somehow. I mean, he was asleep on the couch last night for a minute.
Everybody
It's
make
probably all that
wait.
racket.
Hold on. Everybody except for Zelbor, make an intelligence, history, or wisdom perception. Your choice.
Maybe you could leave a note for him, Zell.
Malik, Cardiff was never on that bed. You haven't seen Cardiff since Sarrowgate.
Yeah.
Hawk.
I would say somebody
Cardiff was
still-
definitely on that bed.
No, you weren't sure, but like
Okay.
you
Yeah.
believe him. Yeah, you're like, yeah, he could have been.
No, I don't think Cardiff was on that bed. I think we
Boo.
sometimes take him for granted because he's like
Cardiff
an
wasn't
old-
there.
He's like an old grandfather, you know.
Okay, I'm just confused. Yeah.
No one besides you guys were in the house last night, according to Malik and Boo.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody besides you guys and Afuna.
Right. I was going to say that.
Right.
Okay, well, in general, guys, I'm just saying things with Cardiff around are weird. So maybe he was here, but missed him, or I don't know.
You know what? I think I agree with Zell that
Is-
we shouldn't go after Cardiff because we don't know where to look.
She
And eventually we'll bump into him.
she kind of sets a plate down in front of you, Zelbor, and she looks at you and she says, "Was Cardiff that old smelly man?"
Yes.
Yeah, he left shortly after you all did.
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah, he said something about a girl, some girl named Lena.
Lena.
Right. Makes sense.
I don't
Yes,
know
he
why
saved her.
that would be important.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, I could always try scrying on Lena.
You could. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Hawk? What do you think, Boo? You gotta have some sort of opinion.
I mean, we have
Do
no
I?
idea where. Go ahead. Good.
I don't think I need to have an opinion.
All right.
I just gotta have a bow and murder stuff.
I thought- okay.
I say I vote ruins.
Okay, I'll go with you. I think we're likely to bump into Cardiff because that's just the way it seems to work with Cardiff, with him jumping around in time and everything. So, you know what though? It's going to be very hard to kill him though. What do you guys think about that? I mean, like he's been a friend to us.
I don't
and
want to
saved
kill him.
us. I don't want to kill him either. That's what that other Cardiff.
I'll
was
kill him.
Boo's like,
Kill- I'll kill him.
Wait, I
I'm a
thought
fucking
I thought
I'll
you're
put
not
a
allowed to do that
arrow
anymore.
through his throat. If
Hey.
that means saving the world, I
He-
can justify that shit.
he's not doing it for money. He's doing it for
that's
great
true.
justice.
He's doing it to save the world.
Exactly, man. I ain't got no problems with that. It'll be nice
True.
to taste some blood.
Save the world, save myself.
This
On the
one
side of the righteous.
person,
Side of the righteous. On the side of the righteous.
this
Um,
one person I've killed that was a good one.
Why don't we?
Also, I was
Why
going
don't
to
we
say,
talk to
John,
him? Oh, go. You know, I was gonna say, why don't we talk to him when we see him at first and
Hold on.
question him and see what he says? Because I'm sure he has another side to this story.
Matt, what were you
I
gonna
was going
say?
to say, I was going to say also, just so that you know, I don't know when we're going to leave for whatever, but before we do, I do want to do one thing
Sure,
before we go underground or wherever we're going.
sure. You're gonna scry on Lena?
No, I'm going to lie my ass off and try to sell the rod of rulership.
Okay. It is a rod of rulership.
Well,
Yes, but it's one that doesn't work anymore.
Why not?
It was one of the items I was holding when the
Oh,
magic thing went off.
I
That's why I'm
forgot.
going to lie my ass off and sell my rod of rulership.
I forgot.
that may backfire on
about
you
it.
if they cast detect magic on it.
I
and find
forgot
you're
all
lying.
about that. Okay, so you're gonna go out into the world and see what you can't find in the marketplace.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find like a gullible person with a lot of money and sell him
Okay,
shit.
Are you going to tell Malik about this, or are you just not even
so
saying anything?
the first thing
I'm just going out and saying I'll be back. I'm doing some shopping.
That's
fir-
a good idea.
the first things that you'll notice when you step out into the world of Stormloft, and you've seen this site before. Basically, you're in the North Run district, which is a little uphill compared to the rest of the city. So you're kind of looking down into the bowl a bit. But in the center of the city, spires and such kind of stand up a bit higher than they do on the outskirts. And you would know that some visiting dignitaries, if they travel by airship, will land their ship close to Stormlost City and descend down the spire into the castle proper. And you see a elvish airship. It looks like it is docked at this airport at Stormloft Castle. From what you can tell from its signaling, it appears to be flying a gray banner with some sort of orange symbol upon it. And from here, it kind of looks like it's an owl, but you're not sure. If you'd like, you can make an intelligence history check to try and remember what that is. But it's been a while since you've seen the iconography.
Is that the ship that took us to Sorrowgate?
So,
Hey.
Zelbort, you would recognize it as House Albacoris, the kingly house of Sorrowgate. It is not the same ship that took you to Sorrowgate. The ship that took you to Sorrowgate was actually parked outside of the city.
Gotcha.
The only other airship that you've seen in the city like this was the conglomerate one.
Right. All right. So I will want to try to head towards a marketplace.
Okay, just go ahead and make me a deception check with disadvantage.
With disadvantage.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens. Okay.
It's a 32.
Yeah, so you're able to
Wow.
get the amount of money. Broader rulership is normally a rare item, correct?
I believe so. Let me just double check. None of the places I'm looking say how rare it is.
Yeah, the compendium is kind of silly in that regard.
Yeah.
Gotta have a DMG.
What do you want to know?
Let's just say it's a rare item.
Rod of rulership.
Sure. You managed to get 1,000 gold pieces out of it.
I'm happy with that.
You want to burn it all on a super fucking special mirror?
I don't know. The Leyline mirror's been showing you what you need to find. It's working okay.
I'm just going to hold on to this and,
You could buy a rare magic item if you want to pick a subtype. And...
Oh yeah, dude, we can roll again. That'd be
That's
fun.
true. Actually, I am going to
Get one of those flying brooms.
I'm just going to go for a wondrous item rarity.
Okay.
Or rare.
Let me see. Hold on a second here.
Find a trident, a +2 trident. That's a little bit more.
That's not a wondrous item. That would be
No,
a
it's
weapon.
not. I would think it'd be pretty wondrous, though.
Yeah.
Canter of endless water.
No,
Okay.
that's
So
Bracers of archery.
Yeah.
I would like you to pick either a cloak, amulet, a pierret actually, or a mantle.
I'm going to go with the Pierre.
I really don't know how to pronounce that word. English major.
What is the word?
Periapt.
I think that's a parapet.
Parapet? No, that's not a parapet.
Periot?
Periat?
Periapt.
Might be.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
I'm going to take the English professor's say on it, so that's what I'm going to go with.
Well, he has to see it written. Use it in a
Periapt.
sentence.
I kind of did have to see
Periapt.
it
Yeah,
written.
Periapt.
Yeah.
Oh, periapt. Oh, the P. Periapt, yeah.
Yeah, Periapt.
Okay.
I
So,
needed to see it spelled out.
sure. As you kind of look over it, you see it's a silver chain. It has a brilliant cut black gem set in it. As you kind of take it up and look it over, you kind of, it's pretty nice. And you can elect to keep that based on the description I've given you so far, or you can go for one of the other two options.
No, you know what? I'm going to keep the Periapt.
All right.
I don't have anything in that slot, so I might as well do that. Whereas I've got a cloak
Sure.
and the other one.
It's a Pierrept of proof against poison. You are immune to poison. You are immune to the poison condition. You can't take poison damage, and poisons just have no effect on you.
Awesome. I am happy with this.
All right. As you kind of are wandering through town too, you notice that the guy you sold the Rod of Rulership has a couple of town guards and is kind of wandering
Oh,
around. They seem to be kind of
shit.
looking. At that
I'm going
point,
to try to hide myself.
do you want to cast any spells on yourself, or do you want to just try and use the stealth skill?
I'm going to try to just use the stealth skill.
Make a stealth check.
Also, I have advantage on this because of the Cloak of Elvenkind.
Sure. Yeah, didn't need it. But you kind of like move over to a wall, pull the hood up, and as you do so, you kind of become wall colored and shaped. And they kind of walk over and start talking to the guard, or talking to the merchant that you spoke to, and he kind of points the direction that you walked off, and then he kind of looks confused, and then he kind of points the other direction, like he doesn't know for sure. He doesn't remember which way he saw you go off. You mosey through some back alleyways, running into a couple of fellows with purple hoods. But as you kind of pull your hood back and kind of move through the alleyways with, you know, a bit of determination on where you're going, you can see that they look at you with a bit of recognition and kind of like they give you a yeah, okay, yeah, and they just like just get the fuck out of your way.
As they should.
He killed an innocent man once.
All right.
Hey, that was an accident.
Once.
And that
Once.
wasn't here.
What about
I
the
don't
guy
know.
with the arm, the book?
Oh, yeah,
Twice.
you're right. That was a bad accident right there. You're
That was a
right.
DM being an
Don't-
asshole.
Don't sell off.
That
He's
was the
dangerous,
DM.
man.
That's not how Dimension Door works. That was the
Just
DM.
stay out of his way.
Yeah.
It happened. That's the way it happened. It's over.
We don't talk about it. That's
We
right.
move
I
past
won't
it.
say anything. Oh,
In
that's
the olden
awful.
times, Dimension Door, you could get stuck in the wall. Okay, jeez.
Yeah,
Also,
you're
to
right.
be fair, when I accidentally killed the librarian, I was guys.
So you make it back to the house. Before you get back, though, is there anything that you guys want to do? Zelbor says he's got business in town. He leaves. Hawk, you kind of look outside. You see the same ship. With your history check, you're pretty certain that it's House Albacoris, or at least some vassal
Mhm.
house of it. So it appears that the Western Kingdom has come to the Northeastern Kingdom for some reason.
So maybe we should quickly go meet with Aiden and see what's going on with that.
Yeah, I'll go with you. We can go do that. I don't have any money, so I can't buy anything.
Okay.
I literally have 0 gold. You know why? Because I blew all of our money in Sorrowgate on that spyglass, which I keep forgetting to use. I got to pull that out at like some key time and be like, I'm going to check the weakness of the dragon scales.
Do you want to pull it out right now and see if you can see anyone on the deck of that ship?
Oh, that is
Yeah,
such a
fuck
great
yeah.
idea. See, look at
I
that.
didn't do that. It's like
He just
like
teed
we're
that one
sitting
up for you.
Yeah, like we're sitting here talking, Hawk, and you're like, well, look at that over there. I'm like, all right, sure.
You're like, yeah, spyglass. You kind of take
Yeah, fucking awesome.
you take a gander at it, and from what you can tell, Malik, it does look like there are quite a few people still on the deck of the ship. In fact, it looks like they're holding some sort of audience on the deck of the ship. From what you can see, it looks like there are quite a few dignitaries, and you're kind of looking at them, trying to see if you can't recognize any of them. Make a wisdom perception check.
Okay. I would be like describing this to Hawk, you know, just because that's who
Yep.
I am. And then probably after I try to see who it is, I would probably hand it to him and give him
Yeah,
a gander.
Boo's kind of
you know.
standing in the back with his arms crossed, kind of looking at it himself as well. And Zach, if you want to make a perception check as well, without the use of the periscope or the the spyglass, you can if you like.
Ooh,
So
nice.
both of you are kind of looking over in that direction. Boo, you recognize most of the people on the Albacoris side of the dignitary side. You think you're pretty sure that you see. Let's see. It looks like Hubert Hawkins, which is the captain of the guard back in Sargate. You see Mildred Griselda, the attendant to Lena. You see Lena Albacoris on the deck of the ship. It looks like she is kind of the head of the retinue, or the lead in the group that came from Albacoris. You would see a familiar-looking bard. Looks kind of like Zelvor, but just slightly different.
Giacomo.
And
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Doesn't
He's
look
awesome.
nearly as hot.
you would also see that with her is
An old wizard.
a man who you recognize as Griswold, the one that Hawk fought in the joust.
Hawk beat him down.
He seems to be kind of standing to the side of Lena, very strangely. Like they're close, but they aren't. They appear awkward. But you also note that the last time you saw Lena, someone had said she's not what she is, and you're looking at her with pure, true sight, and no one on the deck of the ship seems to be off. There is, however, a person behind them who is kind of just glowing like a beacon on the deck of that ship. And as you kind of look at him a bit more, you recognize it's that mage that was like the presiding over the defense of the tournament. Like you see all of the things that I just said, except that you're kind of focusing a bit more on the people who are on the other side of the thing. And it looks like everyone is in golden armor with bright yellow cloaks flowing and billowing in the wind. They have helmets that have eagle wings on their sides, and standing in the middle of the group is a man that you have yet to see. You don't think you've seen him. Actually, let's see. Oh man. Have you ever seen the king?
I don't think we have.
Yeah.
No,
Wasn't
he's
he the one
definitely-
that was trying to get the ladies to come up to him?
Nope.
No, that was.
No.
I don't think
somebody
we know about the king.
else. That was another Duke or
So
something, was it?
you see a guy who looks very kingly.
Wow. I think what I would do is after I see all this, I'll tell you one thing. I would stop for a second on that asshole wizard who I hate because I still blame him for letting that kid die or whatever. For stopping
hold on.
me.
As you're focusing in on him, you see
Yeah.
him looking right back at you.
Asshole.
Just to pause for a second.
What
Didn't
an
we just sort of
asshole.
bail out of there when all hell was breaking loose and that
Oh.
monster was killing everything?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. That was kind of lame of us.
So that's very interesting to remember.
I'm gonna hand this over to.
As you're
Hawk.
handing it over and you're about to hand it, and Hawk's about to step forward to grab it, you notice that there's somebody standing in between you, and he takes the spyglass and kind of looks it over. An interesting
What?
tool, and you look at him, and it's the damn conglomerate mage. That
Fuck,
that
I
that
hate
one
it.
I
asshole.
fucking love that guy. I love him so much.
He cock blocks me all the time, and all I'm trying to do is heal people and
Oh
hand
my
my friend
God.
the spyglass. I mean, come on, man. Why do you do this?
How did you get so far in such a short time? It took us several days to travel by airship. Do you have someone who can cast teleport? He looks to Zelvor. Or
Yeah,
maybe
you caught me.
he looks to the elf. Oh, so you are an arcanist. Interesting. Elves always surprise me.
Smallest smirk.
Elves always
Spyglass.
surprise me.
I
So
think he's a
Spyglass. I
Sarkin.
was not handing that to you, my.
he hands it back to you.
I'd hand it to Hawk indignantly. It's like, come on, damn it. And I'd be like, why do you even come over here to talk to us? You know how I feel about you.
And you
You
know
do this just to pester me?
you know how I feel about you.
When last we saw you, there seemed to be quite a bit of action happening in Sorrowgate. How'd that resolve itself?
It didn't really resolve itself. It was quite the kerfuffle. So the thing that you
Good
were,
use of kerfuffle. 5 cents.
he,
Inspiration.
he nods to the bard and he looks back to Hawk and he says, once you left, a group of forces that were not living entered into the city at the behest of their creator. When we attempted to use normal methods for destroying undead, we became we became very saddened by the fact that these were not typical undead, and that they were not undead at all. They were powered by the creature. They were forced to walk by the creature. It would seem that the shame of Albacoris is some sort of strange manifestation of worms. And these worms can move things like a puppet.
No shit.
Hawkwood, is it possible to sort of quickly show him the orb in my chest?
He looks at you and he kind of gives you like a squinted-eyed look.
We walk a path to try to correct this.
Why are you giving this guy more
Del-
ammunition?
he
He'll
kind-
pester me.
He kind of looks
Just
up.
hold on.
He kind of looks up a bit and he says, "Delarian Sharp, Delarian Atele of the House Atele of Varhuin wrote a book called The Curse of Tavesh Nernon that spoke of a similar orb. I remember it from my studies in the Savares Academy. And how did you come upon it? It should be
you know,
destroyed.
We just meet interesting people and things and places.
According to Delarian, the curse was ended. The object you have in your chest would speak otherwise.
The curse still lives.
Not only have you unleashed a foul, ungodly creature upon the kingdoms of Parnak, you've also renewed an ancient elvish blood curse. So he looks
You're
back.
welcome.
He looks back to Mel and he kind of says, "And you wonder why I was in opposition against you?
Yeah, but you didn't know any of that stuff.
I obviously have a gut for it.
Yeah. I'm still mad at you because your stupid spells prevented me from saving somebody's life.
Fair enough.
Actually, 2 people, if I remember right. Am I right with that?
Fair enough. It's not like it matters. Everyone who sat on that court, with the exception of the people that you've been spying on, are all dead."
Okay, this isn't what I'm going to tell you now. Thank you for coming over here to talk with us, because now you've done what you wanted to do. You made me feel bad. I
No.
just wish you hadn't come over here at all.
What I'm telling you is even if you had spared them life, or spared them their death, they would have met with it shortly thereafter.
Yeah, but this is the thing. The way I live my life is I try to save the people I can. And if something happens when I'm gone, that's just the way it is. But basically, I was unable to save the people I could have saved.
He stops you.
That's
He
the-
places his hand on his shoulder and he looks at you. Not for 1 second did I ever imagine that you didn't think about situations and you acted solely with your heart. The thought of putting that forward had never crossed my mind. And he kind of steps back and looks back to Hawk and he says, "We have had our differences, to be sure. And the person you currently have sitting as the Duke of the Adalbert Duchy
Huck smiles.
does not belong there.
Huck smiles a little bit, yeah.
I am also aware of certain elements of his history. Despite all of that, I require the Duke to be surrendered to me. Where is he being kept?"
What is your intention for him?
Questioning. Possibly torture, and then execution.
I'm
if you
sure
want,
Zelbor smiles.
we could take care of that for you.
He looks at you with a stern glare, and he says, "You don't know the questions.
No, but I know the torture part. That part I can help with.
I'm not terribly keen on you being around for the questioning part. Don't get me wrong, I wish that you and I and everyone who found pleasure in such activities was there to witness it. But unfortunately, a manner of discretion is necessary for these lines of questions."
So Hawk would say, you're clearly a wise man who has, a keen understanding of the circumstance. You must know that we are on a righteous path. We will turn over Adalbert. We ask for your help on our quest.
No, wait a minute.
Stop, just stop.
Wait a minute. Yeah, but this is totally against what I believe.
You guys are arguing for a second. He walks
You're
over
calling
back
this
to
guy a wise man.
just
He's
totally
an
ignoring you
intelligent man.
as you guys are fighting. He walks
I
over
do
to
not
Boo.
like him. I'm not giving him anybody. You're gonna have to do this over my body because I'm not giving him a man to torture. Think of what you're saying here.
He walks
Wait,
over.
we already
Hold on.
tortured him, Kevin.
He walks
No,
up.
we did
He
not
walks
yield
over to
them.
Boo. He walks over to Boo, and he looks down at your chest, and then he looks at you in your eyes, and he says, "Where did you get that?" Zach, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I say it again.
He walks up to you, looks down at your amulet, then looks at you in your beautiful elvish eyes, and he says, "Where did you get that?"
From a friend.
He turns and he looks back at you guys as you're squabbling, and you see him just kind of like stamp his staff, and it kind of causes a bit of sound, and you guys stop for a second, and you're squabbling as you're like, "Don't give him back for torture." Da, 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 da. He says, "I understand that you are on a righteous path. I understand that you are currently playing with matters that could potentially cause you some problems in the future, or could give you exactly what you need to stop what you've already caused to be set up on this world. If that is what I think it is, and I'm very rarely wrong in these matters." He walks over to you, Hawk, and he looks at you in your eyes, and he says, "If you surrender Duke Adalbert to me, I can promise the conglomerate will not interfere with anything that you are doing, and in any means that we can to assist you, we will put forth our best effort to do so. That is the best I can promise you."
Done.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, Hawk says it. Done.
Not gonna happen.
It would
Over
have-
my dead body.
It would appear that Kevin's trying to get two characters killed this week.
I was going to say, does anyone know how to calm someone down right now?
You guys have to get not Barack. You guys need to get I was gonna say B.A. Baracus on an airplane.
So Hawk would sort of glance at Zell, knowing what kind of friendship he has with Malik, and the knowing glance would kind of give the information you really need to calm him down.
I will
Yeah,
give you the
I don't
information.
have to do that.
Take him away.
Since
I might
Pull him aside.
My save here.
Since it would seem that certain elements of your company are not interested in someone being brought to justice, I will tell you why we are taking him. I'm sure by now you have the reason why you have incarcerated him and replaced him with your own is for the purpose of punishing him for crimes that he has performed, crimes that you may not be fully aware of the depths of them. You understand that he came into the possession of a very powerful old magic and used it against a member of the nobility. Is that correct?
That's right.
Do you know where he got that item?
I'm out of character. I'm trying to remember. I don't know.
I don't think we do know.
You know who used the air out of character? Oh, sorry, let me-
Stylius used it, right?
yeah. Let me lose the asshole because I was in full conglomerate mode. The person who used the arrow was a Sileus scamp.
Right, right.
The elvish assassin. Who tried to
Oh,
lift
and the
the half-orc.
orc.
But you don't know where he
Half-orc.
got the arrow. You just know that the arrow cost quite a bit of coin, is what he said, or the services cost quite a bit of coin. You're not sure where the arrow came from. The mage looks to you and says, "The arrow was acquired from us. It was promised to us that it would be used for purposes other than what it was used for. Much greater purposes. Purposes that probably align with your own machinations, or at least the machinations of your friend who currently holds that seat, one Aiden."
Then you must know that Ian still lives.
Does not bother me. It's not who I intended to die. When I was told that the arrow was being requested and the materials were given to us for its creation, we were under the impression that it would be used for an individual named Dante Blackhand. Unfortunately,
Yeah, he was an asshole too.
two things happened that caused us to be unable to deal with the situation as we wanted to. Unfortunately, there was a large presence of Commonwealthers in a city outside of the provinces of Aegon, which interfered and meddled with our plans, not knowing what our plans were. And secondly, the arrow was used incorrectly and not for the purposes we were told it would be used for. Because of the Aegon issue, and because of your own machinations, we were forced to leave the city or suffer political routing. We had attempted to undermine a lot of the political issues in the city with the assistance of the Fellhoods to get close to Dante Blackhand.
Well, that problem has been taken care of.
No, it really hasn't.
The problem of Dante, that is, right?
Not so much.
Isn't he dead?
Yes, he is dead. He's not the soul we wished to be leached from his body. You would recognize Dante Blackhand by what feature? The black markings on his hand, correct? Yes, when he was
just the unusually large smell of douchebag.
when he was killed by whatever magic that you employed. That was also why we left the city. Our purposes were no longer possible, as we had no idea where his body had gone. But we did find out that it was you that was responsible, and you still have yet to tell me how you achieved that feat. He looks to Zelvor. A master of teleportation magic. Possibly. Some sort of wayfinder. Or gate breaker or something. I have no idea what you are. Regardless, when you killed...
gorgeous, that's what.
I'll grant you that. I mean, what... he says, blushing. No, he says, Dante was not his own. He was not able to take over the largest city in the northern kingdom of the greatest province in the land by his own sheer will. We had hoped that the arrow would be used upon him.
Guess what?
It didn't play out that way.
That
So-
was what I was going to say.
We will be interrogating Duke Adalbert, and if we see fit, he will be terminated thereafter.
Tell yourself whatever you want, but my friends and I know they want to do it, but they respect me. They would never give him over to you.
Well,
So,
here he is.
Don't you worry.
He's got a big old bow on his chest while you guys were talking.
Yeah.
Like they went and grabbed him.
We
Oh,
present him, and also here, have some fruitcake.
I just need to know where he's located. That is all.
No. This is not going to happen. Go back. Don't you have a ship to catch, or were you just arriving here? We didn't get a chance to really look good because you interrupted our
Queen-
little. We were having a bro moment here.
Queen Albacorus of the former kingdom known as Sorrowgate is currently addressing the king and leader of the Council of Lords of the Kingdom of Stormloft, and is hoping that they will be able to provision forces. We mean to go to Rostagar next, with the same course in mind. Her
Yeah,
idea...
There's a lot of places you can go that are pretty far away.
Oh,
You should stop at all of them.
certainly. But first, I will be taking the good Duke.
I hate you with an unnatural, fervor. I don't even understand, but I hate you anyways.
He shrugs. I have that.
How can you guys?
I
I
have
don't
that effect.
understand. I don't understand how my friends can like you. You know.
I don't
That's
think
the way
they
it is.
do.
I do. I love this guy.
Yeah, you love that guy. I hate that.
All about this guy.
Oh,
You guys see Hawk kind of lean forward, whisper a thing. He kind of whispers a question back, and Hawk answers. It seems. The next thing you see is the mage kind of nod and says, "If you see anyone with a pair of snakes, and you need assistance, feel free to ask them." He says a word, moves his hands in a motion, and vanishes with just a puff of purple smoke. Much
guys,
the same way that you guys appeared.
if I'm ever dead and that guy comes to you and says, "I will raise your friend Malik," tell him no, because I'm not going to be alive because of that asshole. Whatever happens, mark my words right now. I'm telling this in front of all of you.
I hate that fucking
This
guy.
is so
I
awesome.
hate
This
that
is so
fucking
awesome. He's not as bad as the guy that was mocking us in that dungeon.
I really hated that guy.
I
Well,
hated that guy.
that guy was in jail though. And you know what's the worst thing you could do to somebody is lock them up and so they can't get out for the rest of their life. That's miserable. That's the
Man.
worst.
You're so good-hearted, Kevin.
All he can do is sit in there with his mind and think, and it's like it's the worst.
Yep,
This
and
guy, you know,
a
I
much-
mean, I hate that guy. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna kill that guy, but I hate him.
He left. He's gone now.
I
And,
know. I'm talking to my friends now. I'm just like,
and
I can't believe
and according
you
to
guys.
It's okay.
according to everything you know, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna just stew away in that cell.
He's gone. I don't ever want to see that guy again. I'll tell you.
It's
I
okay.
can't I can't
He's gone,
believe-
Malik. He's gone.
I can't
I
believe
It's okay,
really
Malik.
wish-
I was
It's
looking at him.
okay.
I was looking at
okay.
him in a spyglass, and I saw
Just-
him on a ship.
just
and said,
petting
"That's
his
that
head
asshole
tail.
I hate," and then he was right next to me.
Just shrugging his head tail.
I can't believe it. All right, thank you. Sorry, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm passionate about that guy. I just don't like him. He
Fair
just
enough.
is a totally different type of guy.
All right, so
I thought you loved him.
he leaves. He doesn't appear to reappear back on the deck of the ship. For those of you that are looking that way,
See, now he's gone. Now I have to wonder where he is all the time. And he keeps reminding me about that city that we killed. Son of a bitch.
the city that we
He
killed.
he is so good at it. He can piss me off without doing anything.
Oh, this is so good.
It's like I destroyed a whole city, and I won't let a guy be, tortured and punished
Yeah.
because he deserves it.
Well-
Who's the asshole here?
We didn't destroy the city on purpose, or did we? Wait a minute. See, I'm not going to have this inner thing going on here. I've got to stand by what I believe. So,
Sadness starts to fill your heart.
like the real me is overheating now. All this excitement.
gonna need Hawk to drop to the ground real quick so that Mel can cast a healing spell on him and then have more of his memories sucked out by the orb.
Right.
Please
right.
and thank
Mel's
you.
going to heal himself of butt hurt.
So you guys are
You know what,
going.
though? I'm sorry, guys, but I had to play my character.
Where-
That's
where you
exactly
got-
what he would have done.
Where are you guys going?
Okay, so at this point, I'm not sure it makes sense to see Aiden, right?
Well, you are trying to go underneath Castle Stormloft. So the only way into Castle Stormloft would be at the behest of a noble. And the only noble you have
Okay.
in there is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Actually, then it makes sense to go see Aiden.
Okay, so you'd go to
Yeah.
Castle Stormloft, you'd be accepted in. The barrier for the entrance, you would notice now, for some reason, doesn't seem to be functioning. The thing that stopped people from being able to teleport into the castle, the thing that stopped people being able to cast magic into the castle, which you would know about, Hawk, that boundary seems to be no longer present. For some reason.
Would I surmise that it has to do with the conglomerate?
You would not think that's the case. It seems that this would have probably, the last time you felt this was when you went and acquired, or before you went and acquired the orb.
Hmm.
And you remember the orb, it was said that it was found inside of the castle.
So you think the orb contradicts the magic null zone or whatever, if you want to call it that?
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening, actually.
I wouldn't think that because Mel's not that smart, but I don't know if that was something that somebody else would think of.
It might have something to do with that. But you guys would travel into the castle proper, and you'd head to Duke Adalbert's chambers. You would see kind of, as you enter into it, Aiden is kind of standing there, and he's kind of, in his normal state. He's not shapeshift. And you see that there's 5 of the champions of the conglomerate standing in the room. The door to the secret underground chamber that leads to the down cells is wide open.
Hey,
Okay.
What?
Aiden,
Did
do
you
not
send?
let these guys.
He looks to Hawk. He
Yes.
says, "Did you send them here?" And he's looking at the others as well. And
Hawk nods.
as you guys are like waiting there for just a couple seconds, you see the mage come out of the hold, and he has 4 more champions with him. And right in front of them, they have Duke Adalbert in chains. And it looks like he has a strange shackle around his neck. And he looks over to Hawk and you guys, and he says, "Oh, I didn't expect you to come along so quickly." And he kind of smiles.
Yeah.
Take him to the
I
ship.
wouldn't want to miss this.
No, drop, release the prisoner.
Hawk gives Adalbert the finger.
The champions don't seem to pay attention or heed Malik in any kind. They take a formation around him and continue walking. They seem to try to just butt out of the way anybody who's in their way, and they march.
All right. I'm gonna walk right up to him and grab him.
Nope. Make a charisma saving throw.
Oh,
Who?
that's not the one
Oh.
you want to go against.
I know, but I gotta try it.
You gotta try anything. You gotta try something like this.
Yeah, it takes no effort. It's not like there's charges or anything. It's just at will.
Oh, he killed it.
You notice a
Yeah,
spell
my
is being
bonus.
cast from Boo onto you. If you'd like, you can go ahead and make an Arcana check to try and see if you can't recognize what it was.
I'm not the best at that, but
You're actually pretty keen on this one. You would know that he was trying to calm your emotions, and you're pretty sure that just that happening is actually making you angrier.
yeah, it is making me angrier because
You said you tried to grab one of the guard or the champions.
I'm gonna walk right up and try to grab the chained Duke Adalbert.
Make a
try to
wisdom
grab him
saving
and take him
throw.
into my position. Say,
You
I am detaining this man.
make a wisdom
Wisdom
saving
saving
throw. Yep.
Shit.
You stop in place right as you're reaching for them, and they walk past you. As they do so, you guys watch as they bump into Malik, and he falls over like a board.
Fuck.
Hawk
You-
says,
Nice,
"Don't
nice.
don't hurt
Yeah,
our
have
friend.
that one.
Don't hurt our friend."
Oh, it's just hold person. He's fine.
Yeah,
Can I hurt him?
Zelvar,
Just me when I'm down.
you would have recognized that the mage would have cast Hold Person on Malik, and he kind of walks over to Malik and kind of stands over him and looks down at him and says, "Like I said, I never questioned your heart's motivation. I said you weren't thinking. You did what you felt. You didn't think about the consequences. If we weren't getting what we wanted, understand that I wouldn't have cast such a simple spell to hold you here. Next time it might be more dire for you, and perhaps you should cede to your friends as well." And you can't reply because you're completely paralyzed, and they walk
Right.
out. He turns back and he looks to Hawk and he says, "My offer still stands. Nothing has changed. Your friend's embarrassment here is nothing towards you and your group. And I hope, for the sake of you and the sake of other kingdoms, he's able to hold his emotions back in the future." And they leave. As he does so, you see him kind of clasp his hand, his left hand. You see Duke Adalbert go, "Ah!" as his neck starts just like volting. And he says, "Move quicker." And then he releases the spell, like just as he closes the door, and you can see Malik kind of come back to himself.
Fine. I'm gonna lay right there. totally. I'm not gonna stand up. I'm just
Gonna
gonna
flop
lay there.
around like a
Dude,
fish.
while he's
Because
saying
you
right
know what hurt?
now,
Old person.
oh, I'm sorry.
Person hurts.
I was
You
gonna
like
say,
really
I
hurts?
imagine him. Go for it.
When your friends stab you right in the freaking heart, because that's who you are. They know
We-
that's who you are.
We
You
ref-
got
we
stabbed in
respect
the
we.
heart.
Your
front
big
of
heart is your
everybody.
greatest strength, Malik. Your
You
big
have-
heart is
you
your
have-
greatest strength.
You
Don't
have
worry.
figuratively killed him right there.
I didn't look at that. And he kind
I'm
of
sitting there I'm like,
He-
dejected right
he's
there. laying
really
there.
annoyed looking, and he says, "You did not tell me that was going to happen, Hawk."
You're right. This played out really quickly, and I'm sorry to put you in that position.
Oh, this played out very quickly and very poorly. That was not a part of our bargain. You do understand what you've done, right?
Well, you did say that you wanted to be done with this role, and it seems like it's happening.
You've left me
That's the positive side.
you've left me at a disadvantage here, and unfortunately I'm not terribly happy with the result. You let the conglomerate take a prisoner that was to be left here for a very long time, and who knows what their ends are. And they conspired with several bad actors in what I have dismantled. And you are wanting me to now step down from this position of power so that what? They can step in and reassert it? I've allowed for balance to be placed here. And what you have done has unraveled everything I've tried to do. Malik's heart may have been in the right place this time, Hawk. And I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And I'm going to have to ask you to never call upon me ever again.
Wow.
Oh shit.
So we're just gonna go down the way.
Burned that bridge.
We need to go to the ruins.
He stops you and he says, "Out of the castle."
Oh boy.
On whose authority?
You guy, Hawk almost thinks he hears.
He looks at.
Tiny bit.
Hold on. Boo says on
Can I
whose
say?
on whose authority. As he says that, he kind of puts his hand over his face and moves it. And to you, you don't see anything change. But to everyone else, you see him turn into Duke Adalbert, and he says, "On my authority,
Didn't
authority of the Duke."
he just get dragged out in chains?
Did you not see what he was? He looks at you and he says, "Did you not see what he was wearing?"
As I said, can I stay?
He looks to Zelbor and he says, "I cannot allow that. You are with Hawk, are you not?"
I guess.
I mean, it's more like Hawks with me. I'm
That's too good.
Why are you trying to go down there? The Duke's already been taken from down there.
So we explain about the Vazriel ruins.
Yeah, Jonathan Hopler recovered everything from down there. Why would you need to go down again? You think that there's some entry to some other place?
We do.
I do not care. I do not care. What you've done today has unraveled a lot of my work. And I have two choices now. I stay and fight, and I stay in this position, and I fight, and I hope that we can maintain what we have, or I leave and let this city fall to whatever machinations the conglomerate has for it. Soon you'll see a tower standing in the center of the city, with the snakes furling from it. Is that what you want? Is that why you did this?
I think you know us better than that. We're on.
I thought I did.
We have. Oh, cripes.
I thought I did, but you handed over one of the council's lords to the conglomerate. They can use him for whatever they want. There's so much knowledge they can glean from him. And if they use similar tricks to mine own, they gain access to everything here. And the barriers have been completely removed from the castle. Someone has to stand guard and stay watch, or the conglomerate can just teleport in and out of this castle as they please.
I am sorry.
I sit up at this point, and I say, if there were a strike force to go fight that guy right now and get the Adalbert back,
You'd lose horribly.
I would like totally stand up and I'd be like, I don't know. Sometimes the heart of a strong man can defeat something that is a lot stronger and bigger than them, especially if they don't expect them to be coming.
He has 9 champions. And there are 5 other mages on that ship that are its crew.
Then we would have to get to him before they got to the ship.
Hawk puts his hand on Malik's shoulder and says, I understand, Malik, but I think that's folly. And then he turns to Aiden and says, I'm sorry I put you in this position. I think you know, and he says, with great power comes great responsibility.
Uncle Ben.
I know, right?
Oh, man.
And I think we're both bearing the burden right now.
What is this? What is the purpose of this place that you wish to go into? What is it?
So if we haven't already done so, I think this would be the right time to sort of come clean about the curse and the orb and all that stuff with him.
Okay. Sounds like a lot of bullshit. You have to understand that.
Welcome to our lives.
It's a lot of
bullshit.
It's a lot of bullshit that I don't really give a fuck about. But if something that powerful lingers inside of this place and you can recover it, then I suppose I'll let you try for it. But after you've come back from it, victory or no, we're done. All of my contacts in the town guard, if I can use them to my power and it goes against you, understand that I will. The Fellhoods, as they walk on the street, will give you no protection as they did before, and they're free to do as they please. Understand that the Commonwealth will not regard you as an ally, and if you walk in the lands of Aegon again, we will see you as a criminal. Do you understand, Captain Hawk?
Hawk says, "I understand. We've lost more than a few friends on this quest. Yeah."
Fair enough. I'll allow you entrance into the depths of the keep, depths of the castle. Enjoy.
I promise you this, Aiden. If I ever come across that wizard again, I know in my heart that I need to kill him.
You
And
can't.
I will.
We just saw a display of your ability to do so.
Oh, Bert!
And sadly, what he said, it was absolutely true. I've traveled with you for some time, Malik. And your heart is often in the right place, but your brain is sometimes not. It's the exact opposite of Zelborn. His heart's always in the wrong place. But he's usually pretty calculating and keen about it. And Hawks,
You are right. You are right. I travel with this group specifically because they all have special strengths and special items that kind of, like help me in my weaknesses.
and Hawk is pretty even-handed. And
Yeah,
he looks
usually
back at
makes the
Boo,
right
and
decision, though.
he
I
says,
will have to say
I don't know what it is about this fucking asshole, but he really pisses me off, and I don't like the way he looks at me.
It's just because you two are so similar. You're perfect for each other. It's like you're one person.
And he walks away from you guys. And he lets you access into the bottom of the keep, and you can go and do that now if you'd like, unless you want to kill Aiden.
All right. Go ahead,
Unless
guys.
you want to
Now
kill
that it's
Aiden.
quiet. Go ahead, guys. Now it's quiet.
That
All right, so I cast Disintegrate at Aiden,
No. Tell me what you're
and
gonna
then a
tell
couple
me.
of volleys of Fireball.
I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it from my group here after what happened.
Hear what?
As you're descending down the steps, Malik is just curiously looking to each one of you in the torchlight, just looking to each one of you, like waiting for you guys to say
Someone
something.
say something. Someone say
Yes.
something. So I'm not going to be the first one to talk.
Hawk
Someone say-
whistles.
Hold on
Hawk
a
whistles a little bit.
I would like to say. Okay, where is it? Proficiency Deception. I would like to say I'm sorry. Deception roll.
Make an insight check, Malik.
I will. Boy, I hope I fail this one because I don't want to know the truth. All right. You know what? I feel a lot better now you said you're sorry. You know what? That means a lot because it means you're moving in my direction. I don't feel like you guys are leaving me out to dry. Thank you. This is why you're my best friend. Zoe.
You get down into the cells, and you see that there are 3 cells. It would seem that the one that had Duke Adalbert in it is open and left unlocked, and the other 2 are as well. There is a set of 3 keys hanging up on just a pin in the stone, not too far from where you entered in, but besides that, there's no other entrances or egresses.
I slam the door to Count Adalbert's cell like extremely hard as I physically can.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, guys. I'm gonna cool off here. Just let me do this. Pacing around.
Good thing I didn't have to cast Feeble Mind on Malik.
That's right. It's already feeble mind.
So I'm going to go from left to right and just ask what you guys are inspecting. We're going to skip Malik, though, because obviously he's slamming doors.
Nothing.
Boo, what is Zach, what is Boo focusing on?
I don't.
Can you describe like everything around again?
Sure.
What
So
is
that
there
we
to
have
inspect?
fresh.
You guys came down steps into where the cells are. There's a cell. Basically, think of yourself on the southern wall, right? On the north wall, the west wall, and the east wall are cells. So basically, it's a cross-shaped room. The
Mhm.
place that you're entering in being the steps, right? And then there are 3 cells. The cell doors are currently all open. You see kind of like blood splattered as to where Duke Adalbert was. that door has just been slammed shut by Malik. And on the stone wall near you, there's a pin in the wall about like eye level, and there's a ring with 3 keys on it.
Are the other
There you
two
go.
cells also locked?
They're open.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks like.
I guess
Oh, real quick,
I'm sorry. Yeah, go for
one
it.
last thing. The ring looks like it kind of has like what's the name of that thing? Is it caber? Like it kind of looks like it has a connection point where you can kind of unloosen the ring and like pull the keys off individually.
Okay. Um, that seems like an important thing because you said it, but I'm not going to pick up on that as a player, so I'm just going to walk straight across to check out like the northern cell. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, you go
if
check it
there's
out.
anything to note in there.
You go check it out, and you see that in this room there's a bit of hay on the ground. It does look like there is something that you're noticing with your eyes specifically. It looks like there's a hole in the wall at about where a doorknob or handle would be placed. And what I mean by that, it looks like there's a false brick there. And it looks like it's a magical brick.
Can I remove said magical brick?
You reach over, you grab the brick, you pull it, and when you do so, you see that inside there's just a small kind of cavity, brick-sized, if you will. And in the center of the cavity, jutting out from the back wall, is a kind of looks like just like a just like a prong that's kind of popped out, and at the head of the prong is just a square shape. It looks like a square device at the end of it. Kind of like a nut, like a lug nut, but square shaped.
Lug nut. Woohoo!
Okay. I'm assuming we're going to move on to someone else. That was kind of a long time on me.
Yep. Hawk, you can see him go back there, pull a brick, and mess around with something. You see Malik kind of standing there, like looking into the cell with an annoyed look on his face, and you see Zelbar getting ready to do his thing. What are you doing though?
I definitely would check out what Boo had been messing around with if I saw him remove that brick.
Sure. So it doesn't look like the whatever this spindler thing. It's basically just like a cylinder that's inside of the brick space, and at the end of the cylinder, it has kind of like a square tip. So it's round, and then at the very tip, it's square.
So this is a place in which you insert something?
Not so much an insertion that you can see. It kind of looks like, just like I described it. I'm trying to explain it the best I can here. Hold on a second. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to try and draw. It's going to be fun.
Right.
Drawing lessons with
So-
Dupree.
All right, here we go. That was bad.
I'll be right back while you're drawing.
It's going to be a 3-dimensional image, so try and view it as such.
We're on the splash page, by the way.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Okay. Oh.
So try to think of that as negative space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, like, the back wall is actually solid.
Okay.
All right.
Very nice.
And then coming out of the center is this kind of round, that's supposed to be round, like prong coming out. But at the tip of it, it's square shaped. Make sense? And the square is probably
Yeah.
like an inch long off the edge of the round portion that's coming out, like a cone almost. And then at the tip, there's that square piece.
So it's like you need to insert something that has an indentation in it where
No,
the
no.
square piece would go into that.
It's not negative
Other way
space. At
The
the
Other way
cone
around.
is the positive space.
Oh, okay.
cone is solid, and at the top of the cone, there's a square just nut on the top.
Hmm.
Think of it more like I can't think of a good image.
This whole negative positive thing is confusing me.
Hold on a second.
Zach, can you weigh in?
I think he gets it.
Yeah, I
I
think so
get
too.
it. Yeah, think of it like the top of a party hat, and at the top of a party hat, instead of a pom pom, there's like a little cone, and that party hat is stuck on the side of a brick. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
That's actually perfect. A party hat, and instead of a pom pom, it's like a square block.
Right, and that party hat is stuck on the side of this brick I just pulled out of the wall.
Well, no, it's stuck on the
Or not
inside of the brick.
inside wall of the brick.
brick.
So there's a
Correct.
cone coming out of a hollowed out brick.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's not longer than the brick is long, or brick is wide,
Okay.
rather. It's set inside, but the negative space that you created with the brick being removed has revealed this
But
small party
the
hat.
wall the wall that I pulled it out of, John, does that have the same spot? Oh, you're
What?
the wall that I pulled it out of, does it have the same like missing gap? Like, does the wall
Like the
fill in
underside of the
gap
brick?
around the inside of the brick? Yeah. Does it look like the same brick I pulled it out, or is it a full square that's missing? Does that make sense?
You're holding a full brick. So you pulled the
Right.
brick
Does
out.
the wall share the same indentation as the brick, or is it just a full negative space as if the brick needs to be put somewhere else?
So like there's a brick spaced negative space, like you've removed a brick from a wall, and then the wall behind the brick, there's a cone coming out with the square top, right?
Okay.
And it's about at the height where a door handle would be. The rest of the space is still just brick wall.
Okay. Oh, so we need to find a door handle to stick on that wall space. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's find
okay.
the door
Yeah,
handle.
got it.
Fuckers.
That was terrible description on my part. I
No,
apologize.
that's it's really hard to
I just
describe.
blame the pot, dude.
I should have had a visual aid, to be fair, but yeah, no, it's you guys got it, and the visual aid I tried to give you, though decently drawn, wasn't good.
The visual aid got it to me, and I think I got it to the rest of them.
Perfect.
Yep.
Handled. But yeah, it looks like that, and the only things that reside in the room besides you guys are the 3 gates for the cells. Because keep in mind, this is past the cell gate. It's on the back wall of the cell on the north wall, and the keys, of course. You guys stand around for a little while. How long are you guys kind of
Okay, there we go.
bruising?
Give me a sec.
Do I get to look at stuff?
Why don't you come and look? I've been
Yeah, I
calling
suppose.
everybody
Go ahead,
to look.
Talbor.
Well, I wanted to go and look at the keys.
Okay. There are 3 keys. There's one key that appears to have kind of a diamond-shaped head with a hollow space in it. And it has a very simple key, teeth. The other 2, the key teeth are very precise. One has 2 kind of small key or teeth, and the other one has 3 small teeth. They have the same head as the other one, but the negative space for the hole in the center is thinned down. Like there's less negative space, and they're all on that key ring. And there's a connector, so you can pull the ring apart.
Look, guys, I found the keys.
You're awesome.
I think all the cells.
Do
work.
we think we have anything on our person that would fit? Already, like have something already.
Not that you can think of, no. Zelbor, do you have
Dude,
anything that you think might fit?
Share
What's
the
with this
keys
weird
with us?
diamond-shaped one.
Yeah, because that sounded exactly like it would fit over top of this diamond-shaped gap in the brick, right? Or cone top, right?
Do you take it and try that?
Does he tell us that he's got a key?
No, I literally said, "What's with this one diamond-shaped one?"
Yeah.
though?
Okay.
I
Cool.
literally
Yeah,
said
I
that.
immediately take it out of his hand and try and turn the fucking thing.
You
without
walk
saying
over,
anything.
you unhook the keys, you pull that one off, you walk over to the thing, you set it on there, and you turn it. When you do, it extends out towards you, like kind of suddenly, and stops a foot outside of the bit. Once it pulls itself out, you can see that it's left space on the top, a very just flat surface from underneath the cone, and it looks like there's a keyhole on the top.
Neat. Do we want to try one of the other keys?
Can't hurt, right?
I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Except it sets off a trap that ends up killing us.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. I'm on board.
Which key would you like to use? The one with 2 teeth or 3 teeth?
I'm gonna stand back.
Wait. I have an idea.
Way back.
Hold on a sec. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't do what I would do. I can use this thing as a ring of X-ray vision. With my X-ray vision, can I see how many teeth are missing in the hole? Is that how that spell works? How does that spell work? I have no idea how that spells work.
Hold on.
Someone tell me. What is a ring
That's
of
an
X-ray
interesting
vision?
idea, but I'm not sure if that. Yeah, I don't
Right, that's my idea though. Can I use this thing as a ring of X-ray vision? To
While
see-
so the ring of X-ray vision states, while wearing this ring, you can use an action to speak its command word. When you do so, you can see into and through solid matter for 1 minute. This vision has a radius of 30 feet. To you, solid objects within that radius appear transparent and don't prevent light from passing through them. The vision can penetrate 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, or up to 3 feet of wood or dirt. Thicker substances block the vision, as does a thin sheet of lead. If the metal that you're looking on, it'd be like looking through a pane of glass. You know that the glass is there, but you'd be able to see the things that are inside of it.
Right.
So your idea is definitely sound, sure.
I also have a magnifying glass on me, if that helps.
Yeah.
I did waste some of my starting gold on a magnifying glass.
Kind of rub the amulet, and you kind of see him kind of muttering a word to himself. He says Gavalus, and as he does so, his eyes kind of become more focused. He sets the magnifying glass to looking at it, and make an intelligence investigation check.
Zelbor takes out a deer hunter hat and just puts it on Boo.
Boo notices that this one, it appears to have no set number of key manifestations, but it seems that any number of key prongs that are kind of put into it and turned will activate some sort of device. And as you're kind of paying attention to that and then kind of looking at the wall, you notice that there are some sort of mechanisms and then some sort of strange glyphs that appear kind of like inside of the wall, up above you, directly above you. And you think that turning any key in this keyhole would cause whatever those are to trigger. As you're kind of inspecting it, though, you notice that there are some sort of mechanisms beneath that, like some key mechanisms beneath that, but you don't see a keyhole because you're trying to look through the thing. But it seems that there is somewhere to put the key, it's just not this keyhole.
I will inform them of my findings and see if they have any better ideas. When I'm pointing out what I'm seeing, do they see anything with their regular vision in the area where I'm pointing?
As you're kind of explaining it, does anybody else want to chime in and see what he's talking about with a regular eye view on it, or?
Sure.
Okay, if you'd like, you could make an investigation check. You have help, so go ahead and make it with advantage.
It was all Greek to me what he said.
Oh, I'm doing great.
Okay. You have no idea what he's talking about, and you're confused by the fact that he said the word Gavalus, which happens to be the name of the Rocky man that beat you to a pulp.
Yeah.
I saw you looking at your notes.
Totally doing it.
Seems to be the command word for his amulet.
Interesting. Look, I found some keys.
You have 2 other keys. There's a keyhole. But he's saying it's going to trigger some sort of trap, and he doesn't know what that's about.
Right. If you're willing to stand underneath that trap that I'm talking about right above our heads and turn that fucking key, by all means, Zelbor, I ain't here to rain on your parade. But, like, I'm going to stand on the other side of the room and watch a bunch of fucking darts rain down on your face.
Funnily enough, the trap is
Oh,
actually
like
a bunch of
magic.
acid pours down on the.
Make an
Yeah.
Arcana check, Zell. Or not Zell, Boo. Intelligence Arcana. You're pretty sure that the darts aren't going to rain down on them. From what you can tell, those were some sort of words that would be triggered.
Mhm.
Explosive runes, perhaps, possibly
Right.
causing the ceiling
Either
to fall
way,
in on it.
Ain't gonna be good.
Sure.
We don't have a rogue.
I don't think that's the keyhole we need to use, though. I think there's
So-
some
I know
ring.
who's not going to open that door for you,
Real quick.
Aiden.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? He's not going to open that fucking door for you guys.
Yeah, but had you
Yeah.
way to play the high
I gotta
road
point
there.
that out now. I
But
gotta point that out now. He's
ev-
still stewing over in the corner, like way away from the trap. He doesn't want to get.
That is
blown up
too
by the
funny.
trap.
Well played.
fair enough. Think of okay. So just so we get a visual, okay, what we described before: party cap with a strange square screw top. Right? You turned the key like a wrench on there, and it caused the party hat to pull off of a square piece that was underneath the party hat. Right? It extended out far enough that you could see that there was a keyhole on the top. When it was inspected with X-ray vision, it was revealed that that keyhole, if turned, would spring a trap on the ceiling. But he could see mechanisms for a keyhole or key turn somewhere else on the device, but he couldn't see where that keyhole was. Just looking at it from the
Okay.
top.
So the cone thing is now removed from the wall. Does the cone thing fit in the other area where it looks
Oh.
like there should be a keyhole mechanism?
It didn't come off.
Okay.
It slid. Think of it like this, okay? Like, hold on.
Okay.
Just watch me in the video, right? Okay, hold on. Cone.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's still connected. So I can't talk and use hand gesture, both
It's
hands at
fine.
the same time. So basically, here, hold on.
The wall
This-
slid down.
This,
It's like a sleeve that goes up and down, right?
think of the top of my glass as the nut, right? And then the actual goblet as the party hat. It came up like this, and then this is where the keyhole was, on the top of the piece
Okay.
underneath. So it came up when you turn the thing.
Is it possible to turn in the other direction?
You're trying to turn the whole thing, or turn the
So
turn the wrench. I get you.
Yeah, turn the wrench in the other direction.
When you turn the wrench back, the party hat kind of the sleeve slams back into its position. When you turn it further back the other way, the thing spins and comes out as it unveils, and you see that there's a keyhole. And hold on,
What does Aiden see?
this
Sorry, not
lasts.
Aiden. What does Boo see?
How long does this last? 1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. You would see that there's a keyhole, and this one doesn't seem to be keyed to traps. Looks like it has 2 tumblers.
Fuck yeah. I will
Turn it the other way and we
grab,
can reduce the traps.
grab the 2-prong key and use that fucking thing.
Okay. You put it in and turn it. And when you do so, the party hat slams back inwards and kind of shuts it back up. And then the square piece slides into it. You hear a spin of metal on the interior, and out comes a final keyhole where the nut was. And this keyhole looks like it has just its simple, normal keyhole. And I'll say about a minute's already transpired, so you're not sure how many tumblers, but a rough guess would probably be 3.
That's my guess as well, since it's the only key we haven't used. So I'm gonna do that.
Good odd with the X-ray vision, by the way. You put the key in the hole.
Thank you.
And,
That's like the best use I could have come up with for it.
It's pretty smooth. When you turn it, it slides the cone into the wall, and when it does so, it takes the key with it. The other 2 keys kind of just disappear from your hands as you're kind of, holding them. Actually, it would have taken the keys with them with each of those 2 exchanges. Never mind. And then the door opens. Just kind of pushes itself inwards. Beyond it, you see a small chamber. The chamber is covered with glass shards all on its walls, and they all seem to be kind of bolted on with just metal nails or metal staples. In the center of the room is a altar. The altar seems to have 3 orifices on its top 3 indentations. The indentation on the left is bowl-shaped. The indentation in the center is slot-shaped, and the indentation on the right appears to be basically it's a 9-pointed polygon, whatever that's called.
Polyhedral.
Well,
Nonagon.
a nonagon.
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 Would you like to see my Nonagon?
Let's go fight in the octagon.
No, the Nonagon. All right.
Okay.
I'm still sitting over in the far corner because I was worried you guys were gonna set a trap off. I'd have to go raise you guys from the dead after you blew up.
All right. So what are you guys doing?
Do we know anything that would fit into the Nonagon slot?
So if you recall correctly, the orb was placed into the one on the left. The dagger was placed into the center one. And the last one was left empty. That was where the amulet was in the last one. So whatever item is present here in this layer is probably nonagon shaped.
Huh. Fun.
So whose orb supposed to go in there?
You look around you and you can see the mirrors kind of, the broken shards of glass are actually reflecting light and reflecting images. You guys are kind of looking around for any signs as to what this place is. You do see that there are, in the stone, kind of in between the shards, small little images or glyphs of ravens.
So it's obviously the Raven Queen.
In 4th edition.
You would recall that the 4 Vazrael gods, there was a serpent, or the Hydra. There was a dragon, Ashmedea. The Hydra was named Svenin, rather. The Beholder, which was Derlothoth, and the Raven, or a rock, known as Karamusan.
Tiramisu.
Tiramisu, right.
Delicious.
Delicious. Well, a cup of cappuccino.
Yeah. That's some good shit. All right. I guess I would walk over there now so they got the place open. And I'd look in there. Is there anything written in like ruins or anything?
No writings.
No writings.
It's annoying.
Are you guys gonna try anything in here? I guess I will try some. I'm gonna grab that blue orb I have and just go try to put it in the slot, even though it doesn't fit because it's not the right shape.
Well, it is the right shape. The orb you have.
Magic.
It sets in
It
there,
is?
and it doesn't do
Yeah,
anything.
the orb shape is the orb shape. There's an
Oh.
orb slot, a dagger slot, and a nonagon slot. So you
A
can stick your
nonagon,
orb
that's
in the
right.
orb slot, just not in the nonagon slot.
You're right. It's not fitting in the nonagon.
The nonagon slot, much like the amulet's position with the 8-pointed or the 12-pointed star, it looks like it's flat, whatever it is that's going to go into that spot.
Okay, let me think about this.
So you put your orb in the thing and nothing happened?
Yeah. There's nothing in the other
Not
slot.
yours. Zelbor, would you like to go?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. I'll stick my orb in the slot.
Wasn't
You-
somebody Boo, put your amulet in there. See if that fits.
No, it doesn't.
You take the ley line mirror to be able to grab the orb out of your hand or out of your orbit, and you set it into the spot, and it sits there just like the blue orb sat there, and it does nothing. You pick it up, you put the ley line mirror away, and it starts spinning.
I thought Zell had the ley line.
That answers that. And Boo puts his orb on the thing.
So do
Just
you?
fucking pulls it out of his bag because
Okay.
it's a plain old fucking orb.
Oh, you had it in your bag. You didn't have it following you around.
No, it seemed
Okay.
like a hassle to have it exactly 100 feet away from me at all times, or whatever it was.
Fair enough.
I think
Okay.
it's about 100, yeah.
You set your orb into there, and it sits there just like the other ones. And then what?
Oh man, we need a dagger, don't we? Do we need a dagger too? Did we have a
I
dagger
think
last
that's
time?
What used to be the plus 25 dagger that I had.
Yeah.
That lovely plus. Sorry, it was plus 2 and then 25 on a crit or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just slot that in there and see if that fits in.
It does. And the second it settles in, this was the dagger of the Vazriel King, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. The second it slides in there, you watch as it seems to kind of glisten with this bluish aura, and it seems to kind of restore its magical properties.
Dibs on the knife again.
It's my knife. That was my knife the whole time. It's always my knife. I never let go of that knife. That's my knife. And the second it does, you see this form kind of appear in the mirrors, the shards of glass, but it doesn't appear to be present in the room. But you recognize it as the cloaked figure that you saw outside of the last place. This one instead has. Hold on a second. This one has the red hair, whereas the one outside of the last one had black hair. But you can see her in the mirrors, and she says, "Oh, so it has come to this then. You have come to claim your prize, the chalice of light." What makes you think that you are deserving?
It's a very good question.
Well, I mean, first of all, have you seen this man, as I point out?
Oh, sorry, hold on.
Not deserving.
Apologies. Rewind. You've got his orb, you've got Cool Kid's orb sitting on there, and you put the dagger in. It does not restore, and this whole conversation didn't happen yet. Wrong
Oh
orb.
no.
Wrong orb.
Mine is in my chest. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that.
No. Because you guys did the orbs without the dagger being in there. You just kind of moved through them and got to the last one.
The orbs again.
It should be. I'm sorry. I apologize because my brain was going towards the next step, not what needed to be done. So apologies. That Cool Kid named Zelbor, once he puts his in the dagger in, that's when that shit happens.
Got it.
And the hair that I mentioned isn't red. It's not red. It's yellow. Sorry.
It's fine.
I got myself mixed up. And she says, and just kind of
She's the one that wanted Cardiff dead.
she just in a flippant kind of tone, she says, "Oh, so you come to claim your prize, the chalice of light, and what makes you think that you are worthy?" And as you guys are looking at the mirror to see her, you also see that the only person that's casting a reflection in any of these glasses is Zelbor.
Really?
The rest of you are no longer casting reflections.
I think she's asking you, buddy.
Yes, again, and I ask I point to Hawk and say, "Have you seen this man? I mean, seriously, just look at him. How is he not worthy?" I know she's talking to me now. I'm just
She looks
being
over
snarky.
to Boo, and Boo starts to kind of appear in the mirror. Zelbor's still present. He has the key to this place. If you want it, take it from him.
Wait,
Zelbor, do you know what I'm talking about, or do you want me to make you roll something to kind of try and figure out what she means?
I'm going to ask for the roll just because I think I have an idea, but I'm.
Tell me what you're thinking, and then I'll ask for the roll if you're wrong.
Well, you're saying that he has the key, right?
hmm
Yeah, I'm assuming that's because I'm the one that has the current curse. Okay, no.
Make an Arcana check. Intelligence Arcana.
Glad I took expertise in that. And
It's good enough. Boo has the amulet of penultimate truth.
Gotcha.
Ah.
Which, by the way,
Ooh.
the mirrors are normal for you, by the way, Boo. Sorry, I forgot to point that out.
it's all good.
So, Boo, apparently, I'm guessing the penultimate thing is the key. So, could I borrow that for a minute?
You're gonna owe me, and I hand him that amulet
You
because I don't have anything better.
You unchain the amulet and start to hand it to him, and as Zelvor kind of reaches for it, fire just starts bursting out from the amulet and starts filling the room. It doesn't seem to burn any of you, but it does seem to kind of cause you a bit of discomfort, and most of you, especially Malik, to start sweating. And as you watch Zelvor kind of touching the amulet, you see the small platinum sword that's crafted on the front of it start to pulse white hot, and it's the only thing that seems to take your vision up. And as you kind of blink, you can see it kind of glowing in like your eyelids. Zelvor, you kind of look down at it and you witness like it becoming like something tangible, something you could grasp. Do you take it into your hand, or do you allow it to just continue to just manifest?
I'm going to pick it up because
You grab it and it feels like a handle, and you pull this white hot blade from the amulet. And as the fire starts to just kind of dim around you and the white hotness of the blade starts to stop, you see that it is in your hand the sword of ultimate sorcery, crafted
What?
perfectly in your hands. It
Nice.
feels perfect in your hands. For the duration of this investigative and fun quality, just joyous romp through Funland, you do not expend spell slots when you cast spells.
what?
Whoa, that's awesome.
And the floor falls out from around you, and the entirety of the room starts to just become black. And that
Teleport.
is where we will leave for today. Consider your plans.
He can hear Malik whisper, "It was because you said you were sorry."
Consider your
Right, guys,
consi-
everything's 8th level spell.
That's why you got that.
Exactly right. Consider at this point too, anything that you could do to stop that from happening would have to be a reaction. Otherwise, what I just said, DMs right in, and we will start next session with you falling into the blackness. Good?
Wow. Yeah, wow.
Like this
Mm.
spot.
Yeah.
Could be fun. Should be an interesting encounter series of, well, it's not really encounters. It's mostly just going to be a bunch of fuck with your brain puzzles like the last one.
God damn it.
No, there will be.
Late fireball everywhere.
This is the world of fire, so there should be a lot more fighting. But yeah, that said,
The world of fire. Mel's gonna hate that place.
it's gonna suck for you
It's
so
gonna
bad.
suck. Big time.
He's
I'm
already
gonna be
fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Any questions before I kill the stream?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I have a question, but I didn't think we'd find the sword so fast.
At this point, I'm retiring.
Oh
That's
no
it,
no
you're
no.
done?
No, hold on. Make real quick. Sorry, just for the viewers at home, just so you guys aren't getting too ahead of yourself. Make an Arcana check.
You all die.
You're pretty sure that you're not actually holding the sword, but whatever
Oh.
vestige of it is that you're holding in your hand seems to have some latent power of the sword.
So that powerful. Wow.
Your spell, you didn't
Nice.
increase in knowledge of spells. It just seems that the knowledge that you already have seems to be empowered by you holding the blade. All right, killing the stream.